Review test, Units 5 and 6.
Well, now we come to the part of our show known as Living to the Extreme, when we hear about people who have done amazing things. Harry, who are you going to tell us about today?
Today, I'm going to tell you all about a British man named Sean Conway. Now, a lot of people like to travel between the northern end of the UK, that's John O'Groats in Scotland, and the southern end, which is Land's End in England. People have walked or ridden their bikes from one end to the other, and the distance by road is a little more than 1,400 kilometers. But Sean has done something different. He's just swum from Land's End to John O'Groats. The distance in the water is about 1,450 kilometers, and he's become the first man in history to do it.
Wow! How long did it take him?
Well, Sean expected the journey to take 2 months, but in the end it took about 4, 135 days to be exact. But he only spent 90 days in the water. He often couldn't swim because the weather was so terrible.
What was it like in the water?
It sounded pretty miserable, to be honest. Each time he got in the water, he had to swim for about 5 hours. His face became so cold that he couldn't eat properly and lost a lot of weight, about 6.5 kilograms. However, he drank about 20 liters of seawater during the swim, although he didn't want to. He also had to grow an enormous beard to protect his face from all the animals in the water.
How did he feel during the swim?
He got very lonely, and when the swim started to take longer than 2 months, he became very worried. He didn't want to stop, but he had a team of helpers next to him in a boat. They had to spend more time with him than everyone expected, but luckily they completed the journey with him.
Has he swum long distances before?
No, he was never a serious swimmer before this event. But he has done other extreme things, including climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa, wearing a penguin costume, and riding a bike across 6 continents in 116 days.
Climbing Kilimanjaro wearing a penguin costume? Riding a bike across 6 continents in 116 days? Why does Sean do these, crazy things?
Well, he calls himself an adventurer, and he wants to raise money for charity. The money from the swim is for children in Africa and Asia.
Does he know those places? Has he ever spent any time there?
He knows Africa very well. He grew up there, so it's a very special place for him.
How much money has he raised from the swim?
At the moment, he's raised about $16,000.
Well, that is awesome. The world needs people like Sean. They do crazy things, but a lot of good comes from them. Let's hope his next project is even more exciting.
Review test, Units 7 and 8.
Mrs. Jameson, Mark, Alice, I've finished my investigation, and I believe I have found the murderer.
Please tell us, Detective Jones.
Thank you, Mrs. Jameson. It's easy to see that Alan Jameson was not a popular man in this house.
That's not true. We loved him. We didn't murder him.
Well, someone in this house did murder him. Mr. Jameson was a healthy man. He didn't die from an illness.
Yes, but he took medicine.
That's correct. He took medicine. But the medicine was for a small problem with his ears, and that was not the reason why he died.
How did he die then? And how can you prove it?
Someone put poison in Mr. Jameson's food, and that person was someone who really wanted to murder him. Alan Jameson had a lot of money. He was also a difficult person to be with.
Look, I admitted that I didn't like being with him, but I never planned to murder him, and I know that my mother loved him. I couldn't do anything bad to my mother, so it wasn't me. I didn't kill my father.
It's all right, Alice. We know that it wasn't you.
Well, who was it then? It wasn't me. If you think I want my father's clothes store and his money, then you're wrong. I'm working hard so I can study science in college. I'm going to be a scientist one day, not the owner of a clothes store, even if it is one of the most famous clothes stores in the U.S.
You are good at science, Mark, and you know which poisons you need to murder people.
But I didn't murder my father.
I know you didn't murder him, Mark, but the murderer is here with us in this room.
What?
No, you can't say that our mother did it. That's impossible.
Ah, but it isn't impossible. Look at your mother now. She can't look you in the eye. She knows the terrible thing that she's done.
We don't know what you're talking about.
Remember the poison that your mother asked you about several months ago, Mark? Remember she told you she was having a problem with mice in the house?
Yes, but that was a long time ago. I'm sure that isn't anything to do with Dad's death.
That poison was not for any mice. Your mother started putting that poison in your father's food months ago. At first, he didn't notice anything, but slowly he began to feel worse and worse until eventually he died.
You're saying that our mother murdered him? That's stupid. Mom had an amazing life here with Dad. He gave her everything that she needed.
Your mother had everything that she needed, but she was a very sad, lonely woman. Your father was arrogant and often very angry, and she was very frightened of him. She wanted to escape from her life here. With this money, she believed she could start again, somewhere new.
Mom, is that true? Please say you didn't do it.
I'm sorry, Mark. Alice. But Detective Jones is right. I'm the person who murdered your father, and now I've lost everything.